So this project came about because I was only getting about 400 to 500 feet of FPV or video transmission on the Phantom Vision. And that was fun to play with for a while, but I thought, you know what, I could probably do better. And so I noticed a thread on the Vision forum within Phantom Pilots, and some guys were experimenting with some 2.4 gigahertz antennas that they had connected to the Wi-Fi repeater that DJI provides, and I thought, hey, I could do the same thing. So I started looking around and seeing what setups the guys on Phantom Pilots were running, and I found these TP-Link antennas that were mentioned, and ordered a couple. And so I'm going to show you guys what I came up with. All right, first let's talk about what the DJI Wi-Fi repeater does. So it's kind of an intermediate device. It receives the video that the Phantom 2 Vision is transmitting, and then it sends that video locally to your phone or tablet that's on your transmitter. So DJI made that device very small because they wanted it to be lightweight, and they wanted it to just fit right there on your transmitter and not something you had to lug around. So because of that, it has two tiny antennas in it, and that does limit the range. I was only getting between 400 and 500 feet. Some guys on Phantom Pilots I've read 900 to 1,000 feet. So that's possible you can get more, but maybe it's just the area I was flying in because of interference. So because those antennas are tiny, I decided, and like other guys on Phantom Pilots did, let's hook up some bigger antennas. So you really only need two parts for this modification. One being a Wi-Fi 2.4 gigahertz flat panel directional antenna that already has an RP SMA connector on it, and then you need the pigtail adapter, which will take it from RP SMA to the UFL mini PCI that actually will connect inside the DJI Wi-Fi adapter. Once you get it open, you're going to see two small gray cables, and those gray cables are the antenna cables. So all you'll do is you'll very carefully just pop off the two gray cables, and then you will attach your two new leads that you bought that are called the pigtail cables, or the RPSMAs, to the UFL cables, and you'll just pop those on the same antenna plugs that you popped off the gray cables on. And that's really the hardest part. Once you get that done, you'll just want to notch the case of the Wi-Fi repeater so you can get the cables out without pinching them. You don't just want to shut the Wi-Fi repeater and screw it back in. You actually want to notch it, but those pigtail cables are so thin that you just barely have to notch it. If you have a little Dremel tool or a little blade that you can just cut a small notch in, you can do that, and then you can screw it back in, and the cables can freely come through without getting pinched. So this is the back of the TP-Link antenna that I bought, and it comes with the mounting brackets in the box uninstalled, and I showed the picture that I've showed you here shows them. It's kind of half mounted. I mounted one of the plates, and then I lifted off the other one to show you that it comes with a mount for the wall, or it also comes with a pole mount that you can mount on a metal pole, and that's what I ended up doing. Mounting is up to you. I used a pole, just a leftover metal piece of conduit that I had left over for another project, and some fittings at the bottom that I used to kind of let it set up. You could get those at probably a hardware store. But I just used a length of conduit, and it's light and it's easy to work with. And I just screwed it onto that. And I used zip ties to hold my Wi-Fi repeater on, and the cables. Just make sure those pigtail cables don't have any stress on them. And they won't get pulled as you move your antenna system around. Just make sure those little pigtail cables don't get, just don't have any pull on them, and there's nothing that could break those cables. So the way I just basically wrap some cable ties around them so nothing can move them or anything can damage it, because those connectors were real small, and I think they would pop off if something tugged at one of those cables. So you'll notice I used two of the TP-Link flat panel antennas and two pigtail adapters. Some other members only used one antenna and one adapter. That's fine. There's no problem with that. The reason I used two, I just wanted to try to get the maximum range right off the bat. I have not unplugged one to see if it would decrease the range. I just don't have any reason to. I have enough room to carry these two antennas around with me, so I just figured I would just right off the bat order both and get the maximum range possible. So you could just use one antenna and plug it into one of the antenna ports, and then you wouldn't have this giant setup that I have. You could actually find a way to mount one of the TP-Link antennas directly onto your transmitter, and then you wouldn't have to lug around a big antenna stand that I have. So thanks for watching this video. If you have any more questions about what you can do to mod your Phantom Vision, come to phantompilots.com and check out the Vision forum. There's a lot of good discussion in there about extending the range of your Vision, and there's some other cool tips too about how you can get the most out of flying it. So appreciate your time once again, and thanks a lot.